Good morning, children. Welcome in biology class. And today's topic is reproduction in organism. So here we are going to solve some questions. How to write an answer to these questions. You have already studied this chapter in class, children. So here is question number 1. Why is reproduction essential for organism? So here the question is asked that reproduction is an essential process, but why this reproduction is necessary for the living beings or the organism? So how you write the answer? The reproduction enables the continuity of the species generation after generation. So what does this reproduction mean? Why it is essential? Because it makes the continuation of the particular species from one generation to the other generation or to the next generation. So it is the passing of its character, its everything from the present generation to the next generation. Okay. Now next question is the offspring formed by asexual reproduction referred to as clone. Answer is offspring formed by asexual reproduction are genetically identical. So question is asked that why in asexual reproduction whatever offsprings are formed, they are cloned to each other. Why? Because the answer is they are genetically identical. That means genetically the features are same. Because in asexual reproduction, children, the offsprings, they are formed from the parent, they are identical in nature because one single cell, they divide and they reproduce. Okay, either by budding, either by fragmentation, either by fission. Okay, so same parent is reproducing, same parent is splitting and it forms its identical daughter. That is why they are genetically identical. Next question is, what is lifespan? So you have already studied about what is lifespan. That means the period of the people starting from birth till end. So here answer the period from birth to the natural death of an organism is called its lifespan. So lifespan means how much time he is investing here in this world from birth till its natural death. It is called the lifespan. Okay. So what is meant by reproduction? This I have already explained you, children. Now what are hermaphrodite animals? Give the examples of such animals. So here you are going to write the hermaphrodite animals. That means bisexual animals. Okay. Hermaphrodite animals, they are also known as bisexual animals. And we have to give here one example of this type of animals. So answer is animals that possess both male and female reproductive organs. They are called hermaphrodite. Like earthworms, tapeworms. So I told you in the class also, children, that bisexual means having both the male and the female reproductive organs. So here, animals which has both the male and the female reproductive organs, they are called hermaphrodite animals, and one main example is earthworm, children, and tapeworms. Next is rest. You write in your copy. Okay. Then here comes the next question is define juvenile phase, senescent phase and reproductive phase. Here, children, you are going to just define what does these phase means. Juvenile phase, senescent phase and reproductive phase. So let's come to an answer. Number 1, juvenile phase. So this juvenile phase, the phase of growth in the organism before reproductive maturity. That means it is the phase in which the animal is growing but before maturity. That means before its puberty stage, before its reproductive organs gets mature. Okay, so this phase is known as juvenile phase. Next is reproductive phase. Reproductive phase means the phase in which the organism attain sexual maturity. That means it is the time, or it is that phase in which an organism gets started reproducing, or its reproductive organs get mature. Okay. Next is senescent phase, the phase between reproductive maturity and death. So this is the phase in which the particular organism attain its reproductive maturity and till the time of death, or till the end. Okay, so this phase is known as senescent phase. Okay, children. So let's move on to another question. Describe the post-fertilization changes in a flower. Post-fertilization means after, one is pre, then next is post. Okay, that means after fertilization, what changes will come in the flower. So after fertilization, sepals, petals and stamens of the flower usually wither and fall off. That means after fertilization process, what happens? The sepals, petals and stamens of the flower, they get fall off, or they may sometimes attach with the fruit. Okay, like in case of brinjal. Next is the zygote develops into an embryo. So after fertilization, zygote is formed. So now this zygote, it starts developing into an embryo, and the process known as embryogenesis. So the developing of zygote into an embryo, it is known as embryogenesis. The ovules develop into seeds and ovary matures into a fruit. So ovules are formed. Now these ovules, they started developing into seeds, and ovary, it started changing into fruit. The ovary wall transformed into a protective layer called pericarp. So the ovary wall, it changes itself and it forms a protective layer, and it is called as pericarp. Okay. So here the same question is here. Now children, one thing is, don't repeat the question. Okay, if the question is repeated, so don't do that question, right? Next long answer is, name the 3 major events of sexual reproduction of an organism and mention what major events occur in each of them. So here what we are going to do in this question, that we have to write 3 major events of sexual reproduction and what major events occur in each phases. Okay, like pre-fertilization and fertilization and post-fertilization. These are the 3 main events, and what happens in these phases we have to explain it here. So the answer is, the 3 major events in sexual reproduction are pre-fertilization, fertilization and post-fertilization. So in pre-fertilization, children, what happens? It includes the gametogenesis, that means the formation of gametes. Gamete transfer, the process by which male and female gametes are physically brought together. That means transference of sperm and ova. Then comes the fertilization phase. So in this phase, the events, it leads to syngamy, that means the fusion of the male and the female gametes to form diploid zygote. So how this diploid zygote is formed? Because haploid from male and haploid from female, and forms a diploid zygote. Okay. Then after fertilization, that is the post-fertilization. So it includes the embryogenesis, the process of development of embryo from the zygote. This I already explained you. So during embryogenesis, what happens? Now this zygote, it undergoes the cell division, that is mitosis and meiosis and cell differentiation. Okay, so it starts going into embryo. In animals, the embryo develops inside fertilized egg or oviparous, or within the animal's body, or the viviparous. So in animals, children, embryo, it develops inside the fertilized egg, maybe in, like you have seen children, egg. So it is a cell, or it is a fertilized egg, we can say, or it is inside the animal's body, that means a viviparous. In flowering plants, zygote formed inside the ovule develops into an embryo. So in plants, children, the zygote which is formed inside the ovule develops into an embryo. Okay. So in this way you are going to answer this question. First you have to write pre-fertilization, fertilization, then post-fertilization. Okay. So rest you'll do, children, because you know, you have already understood what does reproduction means, what are the different phases, what are the events which takes place in the pre-fertilization and fertilization and post-fertilization. Okay. So this is all for today. In our next class, children, we'll solve next topic, and the topic will be sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Thank you and have a nice day.